Today's episode is brought to you by Visible. Hello and welcome to ScreenJunkies Universe. I am in the middle of a delightful Dan sandwich today with Daniel Radford and Dan Merle.
Hello.
Billy the Business is here. And it's Captain Marvel Week. Captain Marvel Week, because it's opening this Friday. Danielle actually did an interview for the film that we're going to talk about towards the end of the show. We have our review up. But first, Game of Thrones. They conveniently, the two biggest entertainment events, I think, of the year, if we're being honest, with Game of Thrones and Endgame, are smack up next to each other. So we will have lots to talk about both of those things over the next couple of months. But final trailer was released today. The show airs on April 14th. It is 6 episodes. However, these are beefy episodes, full length, feature length, meaty episodes. Large Subway sandwich of an episode.
I want you to shove as many meat metaphors into this as you can.
I'm working on it for you, Danielle.
They're the steakums of episodes.
But let's talk about the trailer and overall takeaways here. Do we think there are any hints or red herrings about the season? I think there was one very clear red herring for me, which was when Bran was, there was a voiceover from Bran saying, all that you have done has led to this, and you're here where you're supposed to be. And it cuts to Samwell, who I think a lot of us in our hearts hope sits on the Iron Throne and thinks is probably the best one equipped to sit on the Iron Throne in
He's
many
so good
ways.
at books.
Well, he's got integrity. He's certainly brave, even when it's challenging. He has a number of I think, wonderful attributes.
He's up on his history.
And he's not trying to be a leader, which I think is good and bad, but is certainly not vying for power. That aside, I think that was a pretty clear red herring. He's not talking to Samwell in that moment. He's clearly, because he says you're home, he's clearly talking to Jon.
Yeah.
I think. And Daenerys.
Or Gendry.
I'm in a weird spot with this because
Okay.
if I weren't here,
Yeah.
I would not have watched this trailer.
Oh.
Because I don't want to know. I don't want to know anything. So I watched it so I could discuss it here, but I tried to actually not overanalyze anything because I don't want to figure anything out. I don't want to get a hint of what's coming. I don't want to know anything. I want to be completely surprised.
Oh boy,
so
this
I
is going
watched
to be a
it.
not fun 10 mints for you.
Well, nothing's stopping you. You can speculate all you want. I just mean my eye was not fixed on trying to find the details because I don't want to try to figure out the details. Like, I want to go into these last 6 episodes just totally in the dark about what's going on. The one thing that I did keep thinking was like,
Well, you know what the dark is full of.
The night is dark and full of terrors.
Yes.
And hopefully a satisfying ending to the show. Please.
Yeah.
Oh,
But the one thing I was thinking at looking at it is like how far this show has come.
Yeah.
From season 1 of, every army was 30 extras.
Yeah.
And they're like, there's thousands of men over there. And then the whole Tyrion scene where they couldn't afford to shoot a battle, so they just knocked him out. And then you see the aftermath of the battle. Like, how far the show has come to now the armies of millions of people and dragons. It's insane. And it just goes to show you how, when something catches on, the exponential growth that it can show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the books are designed that way in terms of, like, they rope you in by thinking it's this medieval political drama, which it is. It still is that. And then the fantasy elements increase. And suddenly, before you know it, you're in a fantasy story. And some of us are very pleased to be there. And I think others are going, how did I get to where are there dragons? Which is the question that Sansa and Arya are in awe. I always love the shots of the people seeing the dragons for the first time because it helps us remember how extraordinary it would be to see a dragon.
Especially Arya, because like nothing phases her anymore.
Yeah,
she is unfazable. So to see her have a reaction was probably my favorite part of the trailer.
Yeah, well, and the trailer opens on Arya, and she's clearly in some duress. She's talking about death, and she's seen the many faces, and she's like, we presume she's talking about the whites when she's talking about this face of death. A movie that traumatized me as a child, by the way, Face of Death, but that is a side note. Speaking of endings, one of the things that I sort of ask myself, and I think a lot of us are asking ourselves going into the season. I'm with you, Dan. If I didn't need to, I think I would just have rewatched. I was trying to do a reread, but I don't know that we're going to make it.
No.
But and then just let it wash over me. I do feel like it's part of the gig that you have to start thinking about these things. What is the least satisfying ending they could give you, Danielle?
Oh, man. The least satisfying ending would have to be one of those Deus Ex Machina, you know what I mean?
Deus Ex Dragona?
Yeah, anything like that. Someone new coming in and saying, no, but it was me all along, like, which I think is another red herring that's happening in the books. That would be incredibly unsatisfying for me. Gendry getting on I love Gendry, but him being on the Iron Throne would be just a womp womp.
Yeah.
I think it would be immensely satisfying for a lot of people, but I think it would be a total betrayal of the show that's come before it if it ended in the fan fiction, like, you know,
Jon and
it's the
Dany
end of the
sit
big
on the
battle or
throne.
whatever, and he's like, we're going to rule this kingdom together, and it just ends with them sitting next to each other
And he
and
smiles
flanked
for
by
the first
dragons,
time in
and
his life.
Sansa and Arya do the C-3PO R2-D2 thing and come stand out there, and Samwell's got the hand of the king tagged to him, and Ser Jorah's got the King's Guard, and it's just like all of your heroes standing there happy and sitting on the throne.
Yeah.
And that would certainly make a lot of people happy, but it would be an absolute completely out of step with the show that came before.
I agree with you, and I don't think it's heading that way. And I think that every creator around this, George R. R. Martin and certainly David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, are warning us, guys. If you think this has a happy ending, you are not paying attention.
Nope.
And I had this discussion with a friend of mine recently because everybody watches Game of Thrones, and she loves Daenerys. And I said, I have to warn you, I don't think this is going to go the way you think this is going to go. And I want you to set your expectations and not be disappointed. And she, no, it has to be Daenerys. It has to be Daenerys.
Yeah.
But you're right. That's not the story he's telling at all. And the more I think that he painted himself in a corner in the sense that the more that we're able to anticipate that this would be the next hero, they're either going to reveal themselves to be very, very human and make a big mistake.
And Daenerys makes big
And
mistakes.
when she makes a
time.
mistake, she doesn't always make mistakes, but when she does, they are catastrophic. When she makes a mistake, they're big, or give into their baser natures and take what we would describe as a heel turn. The role of heel and villain and hero in this show, other than Jon Snow and Cersei, who remain in their respective spots, is very nebulous. You could see her going full dragon queen, power hungry, and not even realizing she went there because people are calling her this moniker of 15 things when she's 16 years old.
She's got that Targaryen blood.
She sure does.
Yep.
Well, so does
It runs
Jon.
hot. Yes, it runs hot.
But that's why he's so lukewarm, because he's also got, the northern part.
Yeah.
He also
Yes.
has that good Winterfell in him.
Ice and fire.
Ice and fire.
Ice and fire, exactly. Which is, I think, why everyone is sort of like the ship is the two of them. But if you look at the idea of ice and fire, the only character in the show that embodies those things fully is Jon Snow. He is death. He is life. He's died and been reborn. He is Targaryen. He is Stark. He is all of those things combined. So, of course, we're looking to Jon Snow to be the one, and especially there's a scene in the trailer where it looks like, oh my God, are they going to ride their dragons together? Here we go. Strap in. And maybe they will. But to your point, Dan, that's not going to, even if they do, that won't be the end of it.
No.
You know?
I also think Arya's not going to kill Cersei, which is something everyone wants. I don't think we're going to get that.
You don't?
I don't think we're going to get that. Just because that's another one that's too easy.
Yeah.
That's the thing that everyone wants. Even if whoever ascends to the throne is disappointing, if that happened, everyone would still say that they're happy, and that's, again, the fan fiction version of it.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to get that.
Can I contend once again, there is going to be no one sitting on this throne? That is not
That's
what's
very
going to
possible.
happen.
There is no Red Keep. There is no
Yeah.
King's Landing. There are no seven kingdoms. That's very possible. I'm a little worried. And these are season 7, 6, whatever, 7. Season 7 spoilers here. So if you're not caught up, this is a spoiler for something that happens in season 7. Fair warning. I do think, though, we started to go down that fan fiction road a little bit.
Yeah.
And seasons like the whole thing with Arya and Walder Frey, like, that's a fan fiction moment.
All the
Right.
Littlefinger stuff was fan fiction.
So that is they're getting their just desserts, which I think I'm not saying that's the wrong choice, because I don't think you can have an entire show devoted to pain and misery. I think sometimes
Have you not seen The Leftovers?
No, I have not. I think that sometimes you do have to give a hint that there might be some hope somewhere, but I hope that they don't triple down on all of that and give the fans all the fan fiction moments that they want. End of my spoilers.
Well, I sort of... It is a tricky scenario, though, right? Because as much as I agree with you that this is where the ending is headed, after I did my rewatch, I suddenly thought, I don't know if I'm prepared emotionally for this show to end in the way that I think it will, because I think it's going to be pretty devastating. You know, this isn't a spoiler, but we've seen in the vision, because we don't know what's true or not in any given vision. If you look at the throne room, like, it does not look like a thriving court.
No. Not a good kingdom.
Not a good look. It's empty. It's desolate. It's full of snow. So I don't know. I'm worried that I'm gonna need some nurturing after the finale.
You need some cuds, some good cuddles.
Yeah, I feel like we're probably gonna have to have some group therapy. But we'll get through it together, team.
It'll be the most tweeted thing ever, right? It'll be the largest hashtag ever.
It'll be up there.
I can't imagine not.
Yeah.
You know, that finale especially. But the other interesting question for me is George R. R. Martin secretly looking to see what they do and how people react? And then he's like, whatever he feels like they whiffed, he's like, well, I always intended for this very different thing in my books.
He's not going to finish.
I know.
Right? No, because there's 2 left, right? There's the one that has been 12, however long since it came out, and then there's like one more, right?
Yep.
How is he ever going to finish these books?
Probably not, especially since he's working on 3 prequel series.
Right.
For HBO.
It's not like he's slavishly working on the book to get it done. His attention is elsewhere. He's worked on dozens of other projects. And that's just to get the penultimate book out.
Yep.
Not even talking about the last one.
Yeah.
Is this going to be it?
It very well may be it.
Yep.
It very well may be
And
it.
I do think that is possibly why we are getting so much of the fan fiction ending, the crowd pleaser ending, because George doesn't write crowd pleasers. And, you know, I do think that he has a plan. I don't think he's one of these creators that goes in and puts in a bunch of things. But I do think he is someone who, when it comes to TV show, he's like, yes, just roll the money back, and then we can discuss what will be a happy ending for this show.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's my thesis, though, that I maintain around when he started writing them. I don't know where the stories for him would go now. However, I think when he started writing them, that he had come off television shows that were unsatisfying to him because they followed these tropes. He was a Tolkien fan, and again, they followed these very specific tropes. And the winners and losers were always had a very specific roles. And he created these 3 characters: a dwarf, a bastard, a girl. And he was like, these are my heroes, and they're going to surprise you. You're going to think it's this one and this one and this one. You're going to think it's Ned. You're going to think it's Rob. Whatever you're going to think, but it's them. Because these are the unlikely heroes in my creation. It was supposed to be 3 books. I think it was a trilogy originally in his original plan. And then they became the most obvious heroes. Mm-hmm. And so suddenly that has to change. And that's where I think if I were him, I would be suffering incredible writer's block, because he was also doing this in a vacuum, thinking these are literally, I am writing them to be unadaptable for film or television.
Well,
And he was in this little vacuum, and now it's the whole world is watching.
I would have loved a 10-minute scene in every episode where they describe leather and food. That's a lot of the books.
Lemon cakes.
Leather and food.
I know a lot about lemon cakes.
Feasts, ales, types of drinks.
I crave lemon cakes.
We should make some. We should make some.
That's true. Side note, very, very different book, but have you ever read American Psycho?
I have not read American Psycho.
It is pages and pages and pages of detail about his hair and the hair products he's using and the clothes that he's buying and the food and the duck that he ordered. It's always an orange duck. And it's really interesting because it goes in this incredible materialistic minutia. And I think it's to set against the horror. And I think in a weird way, Game of Thrones, the books, operates in the same way. It gives you so much detail of the minutia of human life that the vivid horror that they are experiencing is thrown into sharp relief. That's my thesis. You want to talk about Sherlock Holmes?
Sure.
Yes.
Do we have more on Game of Thrones?
Nope.
I'm just very excited.
Super excited.
Yeah.
Really pumped.
Me too, but scared. So scared. Oh, I feel like it's going to hurt me. Okay. Sherlock Holmes, quick news roundup. Thank you. Sherlock Holmes 3 is delayed. This is via THR. The movie is being pushed back a year from December 25th, 2020 to 2021 at the holidays. So Warner Brothers announced this on Monday. It's going to go head-to-head with Hotel Transylvania and Universal's Wicked. And 5 days after Avatar 3, which I have so much curiosity about. But anyway, how do you feel about more Sherlock Holmes? Do you want more of this franchise? And then more importantly, let's discuss Wicked and your feelings on that.
Okay, yes. Well, I guess we can't just skip to Wicked. I like the Sherlock Holmes movies. I think they're really fun. As long as they keep doing them and they want to do them, that's great. But they're not huge. I'm not a huge fan of the Sherlock Holmes movies. I don't hate them. They're just kind of there in the cinema landscape. And again, it just, I think I'm just Sherlock Holmes'd out. We got a lot of Sherlock in the last decade, just so much, and I think that I am done.
There was a lot, you're right, between Sherlock and Elementary, the two series, and this. Yeah, there was a lot. Then there was like Sherlock Gnomes.
Holmes and Watson.
Holmes and Watson. There's been a lot of
Which
Sherlock
was
Holmes.
No way you're
awful.
Sherlock Knomes.
I am absolutely counting Sherlock Gnomes.
Canon, like
Sherlock
I was
Gnomes?
fine with Sherlock until the gnomes came. I was like, too much.
Sherlock
Like,
Holmes was very
God.
much a Sherlock story.
It's a Sherlock story.
Come on.
As the only person in this room who has seen Sherlock Gnomes,
Absolutely.
That's 100% a lie, Dan. I have a 6-year-old niece. I for sure have seen both that and Romeo and Juliet.
I apologize for
How
underestimating.
dare you assume?
But it is very much a Sherlock story, Billy. It is all about a mystery. Just because you don't want to count Sherlock
It
Gnomes
still
doesn't mean that we
counts.
don't count
Hey.
Sherlock
It counts.
Gnomes.
It counts in the Sherlock
pantheon
canon.
of Sherlock. I don't know if I
It's
would
in
count
canon,
it.
Billy business.
Okay.
We've nailed it right here.
Has anyone in this room seen Holmes and Watson, though?
No.
Besides me.
I have not,
It is as
yeah.
terrible as you've heard and worse.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for everyone who had to endure it.
Oh.
Both in front of, behind the camera, and in the audience that saw it.
Okay, by the way, so we have a thing that we sort of have to, but I wish we really did do, which is honest pull quotes, and that would be the pull quote.
Yeah.
Or that it's like on the on the poster. I feel bad for everyone who had to endure it.
In front of and behind the camera and in the audience.
So let's talk about what it's going up against and our feelings on that. Hotel Transylvania 4, I'm going to be very, very honest here. I've seen, I think, the first one, and I think that's it. And it's very popular. It's hugely popular, though.
I've seen all three, and I suspect that one might get moved.
You think so?
Yeah.
Because they've had a very good success record releasing in every window except for the holiday season. They just went into summer. They've had a good spring. They're very consistent, and I don't know why they would go into a more crowded field with more family. I guess they're hoping the Christmas season can go along, but I think that one might move.
Okay.
If I had to guess.
We also have here we go. It's Avatar 3. It's coming, guys. Like I have so much curiosity about this movie, and don't forget that we need to talk about Wicked.
Yes.
But that's it. I just have 100% curiosity about because every time we think James Cameron isn't going to do it, he does it.
Yeah. I
just
feel like
does.
at this point you have to sell people on Avatar all over again because
Yeah.
it'll be, 12 years
Yeah.
after the original? And
I'm not sold on Avatar 2.
Yeah, the 3D angle is not even... Oh, yeah, this is Avatar 3. I forgot. This is after Avatar 2.
Yeah.
Before this movie, I think you have to sell people on
people on
Avatar
Avatar,
again
yeah.
because the 3D angle doesn't even really hold that much sway anymore.
It does for me, if only because the way that they did the 3D in that, it felt more like it was like Avatar the Ride for me. So as tropey as it is, and we've all done the jokes and told the jokes, as tropey as that movie is, it did feel like an experience more than a movie. I would only see these movies if they were in 3D and if it was that same experience.
I'm with you.
Other than that, nothing.
Because I think I saw Avatar in the theater once, maybe twice, but never at home, because it was really about having that experience wash over you. And technology is, I mean, look at, again, and I hate to keep tooting this horn, but Umbrella Academy, like the technology that they're using in a Netflix series, right? Like, what are you going to have to do? I feel like James Cameron's going to come out himself, personally splash water on each of us. You know, like, you're really going to have to up the ante on the experience.
Every time I doubt James Cameron, though, he makes the highest
does.
grossing
I
movie
know.
of all
He
time.
does it every single time.
As a director, so
I know. Titanic was going to be a disaster. Avatar was going to be a disaster. This is going to... We'll see after the second one, but I am curious if the second one doesn't perform like they want. I mean, you are locked in. You're done. This has to happen. What do they do out the release schedule after that? Wicked. Thoughts, feelings, emotions?
Incredibly excited. Cannot wait. Haven't heard anything about casting. Ready to start hearing some casting. Don't know who I would even cast. I mean, obviously, it can't be Chenoweth. It can't be. So, yeah, I can't wait. I think it's going to be really well done. It's one of my favorite musicals, and I hope it is popular. I had to. I'm sorry. I'm the worst. Fire me.
Yeah, I feel like that movie is either going to be just a massive phenomenon success.
Yep.
It only has the two out, like, or just a full-on disaster. No one sees it. And if they don't blow it, it's got to be a hit.
It's going to be a hit. They even, they just did recently, I want to say this was a couple months ago, they had a concert tribute for one of the anniversaries of it that was huge. I think it was even on network TV.
Yeah.
So there is such a huge fan base for this musical. They really have to put in effort to make this flop.
Agreed.
Unlike with Cats, which will flop, and I will see it 3 times in theaters.
That cast?
Oh, I am seeing the crap out of
I
Cats.
cannot wait for Cats.
That's like a party.
It's going to be terrible. I'm so excited.
That's a viewing party. Morbius update. This is via Deadline. Jared Harris, known for AMC's Mad Men and Netflix's The Crown, is joining the cast of the Spider-Man spinoff Morbius, which again is led by Jared Leto. I don't know, Dan. I don't believe this one still.
You don't think it's happening?
I think it is.
Jared Harris, also known for Sherlock, the Sherlock Holmes movie.
Oh,
See?
it all comes
He's a very
full
busy.
circle.
Well, he may be a very busy
Yeah.
man. Who knows? Because no one knows if he'll be back for 3. So we'll see.
How skeptical our comic book audience is going to be about Jared Leto?
Well, I
Very,
think we've answered that question, asked and answered, Your Honor.
Right.
Very is the answer, and I probably think even more so from a lot of people, and less so from other people.
Right.
Yeah.
I love Jared Harris. I'm very excited
Yeah.
to see him in any role. If this is going to be one where it's him, he's CGI'd, or they haven't said exactly who he's going to be in this, right? Or
No.
have they announced it? So I'm whatever, anything. Make him so one of the funnest things about Morbius.
Actually, Billy, fact check us on that one.
It's undisclosed as of right now who he would be.
So if I'm not mistaken, and someone will correct me, during one of the stories of Morbius, his thing was he would go to college campuses and that's how he would find his victims. So if we get Jared Harris as some kind of fighting professor, I'm so in.
I
He's
wasn't the
definitely
only.
a professor in the cartoon.
Yeah.
In the Spider-Man cartoon, he's a eugenics. That's what they call it. Professor. And he presents-
Eugenics?
Eugenics.
What
school were they teaching eugenics?
Remember Spider-Man
Yeah.
turns into a big spider? His spider arms pop out. It's a great cartoon. You should watch it.
All right.
All right. I think they should only cast people named Jared in this movie.
Yes.
Only
Jared
Jared.
Harris,
Like a
Jared
full
Leto,
cast of Jared.
Jared Kushner.
Yeah. But
As Morbius.
Jared Kushner would be Morbius.
He would
Yeah.
be.
I mean,
He's got the look.
Very clearly, he is Morbius.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing we know. And also moist. Sean Gunn feels optimistic about Guardians 3. This is via Variety. So he was asked about it on the red carpet for Captain Marvel, and he said, "I don't know exactly how it's all going to work, but I feel like we're going to make the third movie. I'm excited to make it. I think it's a disservice to the fans if we didn't make it. And I know the people who worked on Guardians movies are really a family, and we're going to come together and make the best movie we can make, regardless of who's in charge, which is really interesting because literally your family was the person in charge.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
Thoughts?
I agree with you. I thought it was really interesting that this is coming from Sean Gunn, which I guess it's a comforting thing to know that it, and James Gunn has never been horrible in any time he's talked about this. He's always been very, gracious. And so I do think this is another instance of the Gunn saying, hey, we know this happened, but we're still going to put this together for everyone else and for all the fans. Also, obviously, Sean Gunn, checks are nice. So, checks are great.
Checks are great.
Who are you going to get to take this over, though? Who's gonna want, for many reasons, for the James Gunn of it all, for just the pressure. Who do you?
I mean, it's probably going to have to be an up and coming kind of like they made X number of smaller films and this is their big break moment, and why not take it? Because you're not going to, I don't think, get anyone established to take that on, because it's just a no-one situation at all.
I'm curious to see where everyone ends up after the Avengers Endgame, where they leave those characters. I'm curious to see. I think a lot of it will be, what do they launch in the next phase, and how well does it do? How well does Captain Marvel do? How well do the other characters that they're developing do? Do they launch any new ones that catch on? Because I think if they have a wealth of other properties that catch on and are doing well and that people are anxious to see, then it's easier to slide Guardians 3 down the production schedule more and more until you either kick it
ends
far
up as
enough.
a Plus show.
Maybe it's on Disney Plus, or you kick it far enough down the road where the controversies really died down and you can just do whatever, or they can just say, like, we're happy with where they are and we'll revisit it down the road sometime. And then do it again in 10 years or something. I don't know.
Be pretty interesting. Billy and I are always talking about what movie is the movie that they first do as a big launch day and date on their streaming network and in theaters, and it would be really interesting if it was Guardians. Not saying that it will be at all, but we'll see. Danielle,
yes,
you spoke to one of the stars of Captain Marvel, and she was in a role that I particularly enjoyed, in a storyline that I particularly enjoyed. I thought this was the emotional heart of the film. We agreed on that. Talk to us about that a little bit.
Okay, so I don't feel like these are huge spoilers to talk about this. We've got Maria Rambeau as Captain Marvel's best friend, her old best friend. And a huge part of the movie, again, this is not a spoiler, when Captain Marvel is trying to remember her past, is her connection with Maria becomes really the linchpin. Really, I'm the worst. But it really is the most important relationship in the movie. And what I particularly found to be very interesting is a lot of times in these movies, these 4-quadrant films, there will be some kind of romantic aspect, some kind of romantic relationship. And in this, there isn't. There's a best friendship instead of a romantic relationship, which I thought was a really interesting way to tackle that.
Yeah, this really was. Danielle and I were sitting next to each other watching the film, which, again, this is no spoiler, but there's a moment between the two of them that I thought encapsulated a moment of purity between these two women, and the depth of the friendship and the available depth of a friendship like that. And I just kind of did one of these to the screen.
Yeah, it was pretty great.
I thought it was really well done, and she's great.
She is fantastic.
She's got to just start working all the time now.
And and it's so pleasant, so nice. A lot of these times in these interviews, people will always be nice. It's very rare that someone's going to be like not nice, because no one wants that reputation. But
some people don't care.
There are some.
Let's name them now. Just kidding.
But in this case, a lot of times you'll go and people will be over it, but they'll be trying really hard.
Yeah.
And they'll be trying to give you what you need. She was just open and wonderful. She's so excited to be here. She spoke so much about how that friendship also mirrored her friendships with her actress friends in real life. And yeah, she's a blast.
Yeah. Do you think this was a pretty conscious choice for this movie to focus in on that as kind of the emotional heart versus a more traditional? I mean, it clearly is. I think it's a choice that works for it. we have the full review available for you. But this aspect of the film, I think you and I both enjoyed.
I thought she was great in the movie, and I hope that one of the things that comes from this is that she gets more work.
Yes.
Because it's great to see an actor whom I am not familiar with, whose work I don't really know, and to see them in the film and be like, wow,
Yeah.
I really like that person, and I want to see them in more things.
Agreed.
And that's how I felt coming out of Captain Marvel.
I agreed. It was even in the moment I was thinking, wow, this is the heart of the story, and she's really in this. She doesn't have a crazy amount of screen time, but she certainly makes the most of it. So I hope that somebody out there, whether it's Marvel or otherwise, utilize her. So that you can read that interview. It's on Fandom. There will be a link in the description to Danielle's interview.
Did we ever say her name? I don't know if we did.
Lashana Lynch.
Lashana Lynch.
We should do that. We should mention that her name is Lashana Lynch.
I thought you did because you made the Lynch.
I thought that I did too, but I
Linchpin.
Yeah.
That was the whole.
Yes.
So that's a
pun.
joke, but no, it's fine.
Lashana Lynch.
Lashana Lynch.
Very good in the movie.
Yes.
More than held her own with an Oscar winner, which you can't say
Nope.
was a couple. Well, wait, no, just one Oscar winner, I guess.
Yeah.
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 Which you can't say for everybody.
Are you trying? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to remember who she had screen time with and who she didn't.
Yeah.
And then how many other people in the movie won Oscars, and I can't remember any of it. So I'll know that she does share scenes with Brie Larson, who definitely won an Oscar.
has won an Oscar. We know that much.
Yes.
There's one person in that movie who's been robbed of an Oscar again and again, but don't get me started on Annette Bening.
That's true. Hashtag truth.
Hashtag truth. Tony and Annette, Oscar for Tony and Annette. Just for nothing. Like, just give it to them.
Just
for
give them
being
Oscars.
them.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
Good talk.
Good talk.
We have the Captain Marvel review. We have movie fights on Thursday.
Yes.
We have Charting with Dan from yesterday with honest trailer commentaries. There's so much for you guys to watch.
It is.
Yeah.
It's abundance.
New honest trailer.
Yeah.
New honest trailer for Robin Hood 2018.
Yeah.
Came out today.
Oh my God, that movie.
It's not good.
Wait, did we see that screening together?
We did.
Yeah.
And we were talking about it on the commentary yesterday. Joe and Lon were like, why did we do this movie? And I said, I wanted to do it for posterity.
Yes.
It's not going to be our most highly viewed trailer, but it needs to exist.
Yes.
As a record that this happened.
This movie did happen.
It happened.
It's
and we
hard
must
to believe
document it.
that it happened.
Yes.
And it's really interesting. I'm going to bring up Ben Mendelsohn,
Mm-hmm.
who is one of my favorite parts of Captain Marvel.
Yes.
But is chewing the scenery in a way. He's not just he's devouring the scenery.
They had to
in
rebuild
Robin
the scenery
Hood.
so they could build it again and chew it again.
He was basically the Galactus of scenery in Robin Hood. It's so bad but funny. All right, good talk.
Yeah.
Good talk. More to come tomorrow and more things onward for the rest of the week. We hope you guys are well and have a good day. Don't get a cold. They stink. Be well. Thank you to Visible, the future of phone service, for sponsoring this episode.